You're coming with me after work.
I still have tables.
My name is Emma Carter, and the day my life changed began with a smile that fooled almost everyone in the restaurant. My boyfriend, Ryan Cole, stood behind me with one hand resting on my shoulder. To the customers around us, he probably looked affectionate, but his fingers were pressing into me hard enough to make my arm ache. Across the restaurant, a large, gray, bearded biker looked up from his coffee. I had never seen him before. I did not know if he would understand what I was about to do, but I had no safe way to speak. So I raised one hand, tucked my thumb into my palm, and slowly folded my fingers over it, helped me. For one terrifying second, nothing happened. Then the biker looked directly into my eyes and gave me one small nod. That tiny nod became the beginning of my freedom. Before I continue, tell me where you are listening from today. What city, state, or country are you in right now? Please leave it in the comments below. I truly want to know how far my story is traveling and where everyone listening today is from. I was 26 years old, and I worked long shifts at a busy waterfront restaurant. For months, I had become very good at pretending everything was fine. Ryan had not seemed dangerous when I met him. At first, he was charming. He brought me coffee, remembered little things I liked, and told me I was the only person who truly understood him. I thought I was lucky. Then the questions started. Where was I? Who was I talking to? Why did I take so long to answer his messages? Why did a male customer make me laugh? Why did I need to see friends without him? I stopped seeing certain friends because it always caused an argument. I changed what I wore because he complained. I gave him my phone password because he said couples should have no secrets. Then he convinced me to move into his apartment. After that, he began controlling the money too. He said he was better at handling bills, so he took charge of our accounts. Soon I had to explain even small purchases. I did not understand how trapped I had become until I started thinking about leaving. Most of my belongings were in his apartment. My money was tied to accounts he could access. My family lived far away. One night, after another frightening argument, I stood in the bathroom looking at myself in the mirror. I barely recognized the woman staring back, but that night, I told myself I needed to leave. But when I heard him walking down the hallway, my courage disappeared. A few days later, I saw a short safety video online. It showed a silent hand signal for someone who needed help but could not speak openly. You hold up one hand. You fold your thumb into your palm. Then you close your fingers over it. I watched the video twice. I never imagined I would use it. That Friday afternoon, the restaurant was packed. Families filled the tables. Tourists came in from the harbor. Servers hurried between the kitchen and dining room. We were not allowed to carry our phones while serving, so mine stayed in my locker. When I finally checked it during my break, I saw 3 missed calls from Ryan and several messages. The last message said, "We need to talk." My stomach tightened. I called him. He did not answer. A few minutes later, a coworker walked into the kitchen. "Emma, someone is waiting for you up front." I knew who it was. Ryan stood near the entrance. He was smiling. That smile frightened me because I knew it was meant for everyone else. I walked over and asked why he had come. He said we needed to talk outside. I told him I only had a short break. That was when he placed his hand on my shoulder. His fingers tightened. He asked why I had ignored his calls. I reminded him that I had been working. He leaned closer and quietly told me I was leaving with him after my shift. Then he said I would regret making him angry. I tried to keep breathing normally. I looked past him toward the dining room. That was when I noticed the biker. He sat alone near the wall with a cup of coffee. He was a big man with broad shoulders, a gray beard, tattooed arms, and a black motorcycle vest. His name, I later learned, was Jack Mercer. At that moment, he was only a stranger. But he was watching me. Our eyes met. Ryan kept talking, but I barely heard him. I remembered the hand signal. Should I use it? What if Jack did not understand? What if Ryan saw me? What if asking for help made things worse? Fear had trained me to stay quiet. But staying quiet had never made me safe. I lifted my hand as if I were fixing my hair. I turned my palm outward. I tucked my thumb in. Then I closed my fingers over it. My hand was shaking. I looked at Jack. For a second, his expression did not change. Then he slowly placed his coffee cup down. He looked at me again and nodded. I almost cried. Jack did not rush toward us. He did not shout. He did not threaten Ryan. He calmly stood and walked over. When he reached us, he asked, "Is everything okay?" Ryan laughed. "It's none of your business." Jack did not argue. He looked directly at me. "Are you okay?" Ryan answered for me. "She's fine." But Jack kept looking at me. He was waiting for my answer. My voice felt trapped in my throat. Then I whispered, "I need help." Those 3 words changed everything. A coworker noticed us. Our manager stepped out from behind the bar. Ryan immediately became calm and polite. He said there had been a misunderstanding. He said we were having a private disagreement. He said I was emotional. For a moment, I almost doubted myself again. Then I remembered the nights I had cried alone. I remembered deleting messages because Ryan checked my phone. I remembered the fear I felt every time he came home angry. I looked at my manager and finally said the truth. He scares me. The room seemed to go quiet. Ryan accused me of exaggerating. He said Jack was interfering in our relationship. Jack did not argue with him. He simply moved slightly between us and told my manager that I had asked for help. The manager called security and the police. Ryan looked at me with an expression I knew well. For one final moment, I wanted to take everything back. Then I realized that if I left with him, nothing would change. So I stayed. When the officers arrived, they separated us. One officer brought me into the manager's office and asked a simple question. "Do you feel safe going home?" I said no. It was the first time I had admitted that out loud. I told her about Ryan checking my phone, controlling my money, frightening me during arguments, and making me feel as if I had nowhere to go. She listened without blaming me. Outside, I could hear Ryan insisting that I belonged with him. Those words made something clear. He did not see me as an equal partner. He saw me as someone he controlled. When he was finally taken away from me, I started crying. Then reality hit me. I had nowhere to stay. Most of my money was connected to accounts Ryan could access. My clothes and important documents were at his apartment. My mother lived hours away, and we had become distant. I sat in the office thinking, what happens now? Jack was still nearby. He did not ask for my number. He did not expect gratitude. He quietly told my manager about a local organization that helped people leaving controlling relationships. My manager contacted them. About an hour later, an advocate named Denise arrived. She sat beside me and asked, "What do you need tonight?" "Not next month. Not for the rest of my life. Tonight." That question made everything feel possible. She helped arrange a safe place to stay, transportation, and information about protecting my money and changing my passwords. I did not need to solve my entire future in one night. I only needed to take the next safe step. Before I left, I walked over to Jack. Up close, he looked even more intimidating than he had from across the room. But now I saw something completely different. I saw a man who had made a frightened stranger feel safe. I thanked him. He shook his head. "You were brave enough to ask," he said. "I just noticed." I told him I had been terrified he would not understand my signal. He explained that his daughter worked in healthcare and had once shown him the same gesture. Then he said something I never forgot. Sometimes people don't need someone to take over. They just need someone willing to notice and listen. That night, I stayed in a confidential, safe place. I barely slept. Every sound made me nervous. Leaving Ryan did not instantly remove the fear. Then I called my mother. I cried while telling her what had happened. I expected her to ask why I had hidden everything. Instead, she said, "You don't have to explain everything today. I'm just glad you're safe." That sentence taught me something about real love. Real love does not control you. Real love does not make you afraid to speak. Real love does not punish you for having your own life. Months later, I moved into a small apartment. The first night there, I sat alone and listened to the silence. Nobody was checking my phone. Nobody was questioning where I had been. Nobody controlled my money. For the first time in a long time, silence felt peaceful. About 6 months later, I saw Jack outside the restaurant on a rainy evening. I called his name. He turned and smiled. I told him I had my own apartment now. I told him I was talking to my mother again. I told him I was doing better. Then I thanked him one more time. Jack looked at me and said, "You saved yourself the moment you reached out." Years later, I began volunteering at a community support center. On my desk, I kept a small handwritten card. It said, "You are allowed to ask." I kept those words because asking had once felt impossible to me. I used to believe I needed a perfect plan before I could leave. I thought I needed money, a new home, confidence, and answers to every question. But I did not. I needed one safe moment, one honest sentence, and one person willing to listen. I still think about that afternoon in the restaurant. Jack looked intimidating, but the strongest thing he did was not threaten anyone. He stayed calm. He listened. He respected my choice. He helped me reach trained support. That changed how I understand strength. Strength is not making people afraid of you. Strength is helping frightened people feel safe enough to make their own choices. And courage does not always look dramatic. Sometimes courage is a shaking hand. Sometimes it is a quiet whisper. Sometimes it is saying, I am scared. Sometimes it is four fingers slowly closing over one thumb. That small signal did not solve my life. But it opened a door. One safe moment became one safe night. One safe night became a new bank account. Then came a new apartment, counseling, my family, my confidence. My future. Today, I know that I do not belong to anyone else. My voice is mine. My time is mine. My future is mine. And love should never feel like a cage. If there is one thing I hope you remember from my story, it is this: you are allowed to ask for help. You are allowed to tell the truth, even if your voice shakes. You are allowed to choose safety. And if someone reaches out to you, sometimes the most important thing you can do is stop, look closely, listen, and help that person reach someone qualified to support them. That day, I thought I was asking a stranger to save me. What I was really doing was giving myself permission to be seen. One stranger noticed. One manager acted. One advocate helped me plan. And one frightened woman finally spoke the truth. That woman was me. My silent signal was not the end of my fear. It was the beginning of my freedom. Thank you so much for listening to my story all the way to the end. If this story touched your heart, please like the video and share it with someone who may need this message. I would love to hear your thoughts in the comments, and please tell me where you are watching or listening from today. If you enjoy meaningful stories like this, subscribe to the channel so you do not miss the next one. Thank you for being here. Take care of yourself and the people around you, and I will see you in the next video.